Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of our weekly Hanako discussion videos. And today we're going to be talking all about episode 8, but before we do, I do, as always, want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At Matt87Eagle, at VDorogu, at Ash Peppermint, at BIC Violet1, at D Cherry Wolf, at Morgan Boyer Poet, at It's Tired Andy, at Sirius9752, at GiftPerTC, and at Hans Kunikita. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Hanako video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout out the first handful of you in next week's video. Okay, so when it comes to this week's episode, there's really two things that we should be talking about, at least two things that I want to talk about. It's mostly one thing, and that is Ko and Mitsuba. Now, I kind of understand now why everybody was so sort of taken aback when I was like, I can see Ko and Yashiro being a thing, and everyone's like, no, Ko has like somebody better down the pipeline. And I think it was Mitsuba, because they do have a decent sort of connection, these two. It is very shippy, this episode. I will say that. It is very, very shippy. And that's not a bad thing. You guys know me. If there is a way to ship it, I will find a way. And I can certainly see why people would ship Ko and Mitsuba. Admittedly, I found Mitsuba to be a little annoying at first. But honestly very interesting, and as the episode continued to go on, I found Mitsuba to be less annoying and more of just an interesting character. You sort of understood why Mitsuba was behaving the way that he was behaving, and it just sort of adds up. I do like that they straight up address that Mitsuba is cocky, and he's a jerk, and he's rude, and all this stuff, and Ko outright calls him out for that. And states that if anybody asks him what Mitsuba is like, Ko will respond with everything that he said, like that he's rude, that he's girly, that he's a camera otaku, that he's mean, and that he's cocky and he's a jerk and all this stuff. But he meant it to be like, that's what I'm going to tell people if they ask me about you, because you're not nobody, and you should have just been you from the jump. And I do really like that a lot. That's a sweet message to sort of embrace all parts of yourself, including the not so positive things, because that's what will make you stand out if you just be yourself, and you'll find people who will connect to you on some level. And I like that they sort of address, like, could Ko and Mitsuba have been friends before Mitsuba passed away? It's an interesting topic. They don't really get into how Mitsuba died, which I find to be kind of interesting. They just sort of say it was an accident. I don't know if, like, maybe I guess it's not worth getting into, but I do think, like, maybe there could be some sort of lingering connection between how Mitsuba died and the rest of the story thus far. Although, for all I know, this could be, like, a one and done, like, this is all we'll ever get of the Mitsuba character. I mean, he's certainly out of the picture from here on out, but still, I did think that their dynamic was genuinely really sweet. I really liked the Ko and Mitsuba bond. I thought it was sort of unlike a lot of other bonds this show has shown off. It's definitely, it's funny because they say, like, we're friends, and you're my friend, and blah, 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 like, friends. And, y'all, that was more intimate and heartfelt than some of the more shippy scenes between Yashiro and Hanako. Honestly, it just cements, it really cements Ko to me as best boy. When Ko opens the episode by being like, hey, I'm Ko Minamoto, and blah, 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 like when he does the recap of last week, I was genuinely relieved, because all I wanted, and honestly, all I kind of want out of this show now is just to see what's up with Ko and Teru. They're my two favorites in this show. And I just, so the fact that we get an entire episode all about Ko and how he's trying to, instead of, like, exercising Mitsuba as just some other ghost, just some other poltergeist, like, he wants to help Mitsuba find what Mitsuba, like, that lingering regret, so that he can move on. It totally this episode completely cemented Ko as best boy for me. I love the dynamic. I did think it was really sweet. Like I said, Mitsuba started very annoying at the end of last week's episode and the beginning of this week's episode with the whole, like, just loud, just loud and obnoxious, and that's not the kind of character that I normally like. But I like that they addressed that Mitsuba is loud and obnoxious because that's just kind of who he is, or rather was. And so he kind of latches onto that, and he feels more free to be himself now that other people can't really see him, but at the same time that the fact that he tried to be nice and fit in is what ultimately made him feel so alone, and now that he's a ghost, he's even more alone than he was. Mitsuba's story is genuinely really sad. I think he needed somebody like Ko in his life, especially like before his afterlife. He definitely needed somebody like Ko. I feel like everybody needs somebody like Ko. He's just a good lad. And I don't even want to say a friendship, just a connection like these two had, however brief it may have been, which does lead us nicely into the second topic for today's video, Mitsuba's ultimate fate. And oh my god, I don't care about Tsukasa at all. I am very concerned because I don't care about Tsukasa. I don't care about this whole evil Hanako inverse, like Hanako helps those who are living and Tsukasa helps those that are dead. And the way Tsukasa talks is like just so, I just don't like this character. I don't find them interesting. I actually genuinely rolled my eyes when he showed up because I was like, oh my god, are they going to do what I think they're going to do? Seems a little early for that. And yeah, exactly what you think happens. Admittedly, my feelings on Hanako have been skewed a little bit because I've been spoiled on a bunch of stuff. A lot of people are kind of getting on my case about Hanako. And as I love this show, I do. But there's things that happen in the show, and especially lately, that irk me, and this is one of them, where I don't understand why you would, I guess kill isn't the correct word, why you would exorcise Mitsuba this fast. To me, my only real issue with the Ko and Mitsuba relationship is that it doesn't stick around. I think this whole thing, because I expect a lot of people thought that I would cry during this episode, because you guys know me, I'm a very emotional dude. And I think a lot of people expected me to get all misty-eyed during this episode. I really was watching this kind of just stone face. Like, I was feeling like, oh, that's really sad, but that's as far as it went. I didn't get like really emotional over it because I feel like it was too soon. It lacked a certain impact because we didn't get to grow with Mitsuba. Mitsuba's entire character arc happens over the course of this one episode. I think you should have had Mitsuba have this episode with Ko, have something else happen at the end, doesn't matter what, just something else. And then have Mitsuba be around for a little bit. Have Mitsuba be one of the characters who hangs out with Yashiro and Hanako and all that. Maybe go on like an adventure or two or not. Just have Mitsuba be a background player for a little bit and then have this happen. Because then it's like losing one of the guys. It suddenly feels more impactful as opposed to a character that we were really only introduced to at the end of last week's episode. Again, I do think that his connection to Ko is a huge strength. I do think what they managed to do in a single episode is really admirable, and I really liked it, but I felt like it was way too soon. And if I'm totally honest, and this is where people are really going to come for me, the art this week and the animation is... I thought Mitsuba should have just had a broken neck, or just had Mitsuba go full crooked man, because that would have been really scary and really unsettling and creepy. Like if Mitsuba was looking at Ko as his head just kind of started to slowly shift and then you hear the crack, like that would have been friggin' scary. And that's what I thought they were gonna do. I would have been like, damn, like this show got dark, this show went places. But it's this like cartoony, weird, bulky looking design. He's got like a camera lens for one of his eyes and his head's slightly ajar, but not quite. It's just... It did nothing for me. And I said this last week, but yeah, the manga paneling thing is getting really annoying. It's obtrusive. And this has been something that I've been noticing, but didn't want to say because I didn't want people to be upset with me. But yes, the manga paneling is annoying, but also nobody's lip flaps are synced. and I don't know why it's bothering me, but it's really bothering me. With that said, everybody, those are just my opinions. Obviously, as I said, I still really enjoyed the episode. I would say this is like a very strong orange pico, like a strong quality tea. Still satisfies that Toilet-Bound Hanako itch for me. I don't know, like there's parts of this episode that I didn't like as much, and I'm starting to kind of notice things that I maybe wouldn't have noticed before. That said, I'm still really digging the show. Hopefully nobody's too mad at me, and hopefully I'll see you guys here next week. And with that said, that is a wrap on today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then go ahead and hit that like button, maybe even consider sharing the video around on the internet, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and see more content from me. And if you do, be sure to click on that bell icon so that you'll know immediately when a new video of mine comes out, and if you want to go above and beyond, then consider checking out our Teespring store and grabbing yourself a mug, or checking out our Patreon page, which really helps support the channel. And speaking of our Patreon page, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who support the channel over on Patreon. Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Veridin. A huge thank you to all of you who support this channel over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the link in the description to check out our Patreon page and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with all that said, I want to once again thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.